All right. We are on. It's draft day. First day of season 2. The scores are completely wiped. The athletes are ready. I'm set up for redemption. But first, very special guest introducing in 2007, the man who was voted most likely to create an intricate ranking system for a niche sport, Jack Bauer. Hello, Jack. How are you today?
You do your research, Rich.
And second, in a landslide victory in 2005, this man was voted most likely to use an analogy to explain everything. Bracken Crocker's here. How are you?
It reminds me a lot about when Jack was predicted to be most likely to create a niche ranking system. That's how I would, I guess, explain that analogy you just drew for me there.
Using an analogy.
Cheers.
All right, boys, we are here to draft once again. A season is upon us. So to recap last year, Jack Bauer ended up winning. A very annoying win. Wasn't happy that was the outcome, but it was in fact the outcome. So Jack took it down for the first season. Bracken finished second. I finished in third. We're still working out some details of an eating challenge in Vegas, but I think that's going to happen. I'm thinking Sunday after the High Rocks event. I don't want it to ruin my Saturday evening.
So this is why it sucks that Jack won. It's not that Jack doesn't deserve to win. It's that in his mind, this justifies that he's the guru. He didn't win because he was good. He won because he got lucky. And had he not been the guru coming in, maybe we could give him credit for it. But the fact that it justifies his insane levels of info hubris, I just can't abide by that. 2 years in a row, if it happens, I'm leaving. I just can't live with this. We're going to have a fourth panel on here just for Jack's OCR ego, and I can't stand it.
That works for me. But if you spent more time researching your stuff instead of on your wardrobe, maybe you'd do better.
I roll out of bed like this, Jack.
With sunglasses on your head and a suit.
And I was a slow starter. If you're resting on what you did early in the season. All right. You're lucky there was no play-in tournament where everyone was reset. Because had there been a postseason tourney, I don't even know if he would have got out of the first round.
Bracken, sure you certainly were most improved last year. That is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Bracken made some terrible choices also, might I remind the listeners, about betting points. I don't know if you learned your lesson there, if you think it's worth it again, but...
I live my life a quarter mile at a time, Jack.
Yeah. It was a fun season. I'm proud to be the inaugural champ, but I mean, hey, the season reset. Doesn't matter anything anymore.
Fresh season, so anything can happen, and this first race is going to be really, really interesting. And for those of you who are just checking this out for the first time, what we do, we go season long. We talk about each National Series race in Spartan race. It's just where we're most familiar with it. So most of the athletes seem to be, and we're able to kind of talk about a greater scope of athletes within Spartan race. But there are some other races now that will affect the landscape of competitive OCR. So let's just talk about what happened at Savage real quick. Bracken, you did a great job at the first announcing Savage race. Jack, did you check out the Savage race?
I did. I saw about I probably watched 2/3 total of the race. If it was like a 45-minute race, I probably watched 30 minutes of it with skipping around. It was tough with the video, but you guys did the best you kind of could with what you had, and solid content as usual.
I actually thought it was fine to follow. I've heard this a couple of times, like, the footage was choppy, and it's expected to be choppy. But yeah. I followed the race pretty well. I thought it was all good all the way through.
The best part was it's so dense, like so many people close to each other that you actually had stuff to talk about. You didn't need as much filler.
Yeah, these venues are just so remote that it's tough to get cell coverage. And as simply the announcer, I have no control over any of the technical side, but it makes my job immensely easier when there are battles, because even if it's stop motion still frames, having people to see and talk about is much better than when it freezes on one person 7 minutes ahead of the field. So fantastic to see the depth and the turnout for Savage's first foray into a point series.
I mean, it could have easily 15 dudes deep. On the men's side, it was really, really strong all the way through. And it's interesting now looking at the competitors who are going to be at the Spartan race in SLO. It's not much crossover. It doesn't seem, and there's, some of the top athletes with Kempson and Woods, we'll talk about, we're not sure if they're going to go, but the rest of I don't think anyone else in the field is really going to make it out. I think Michael Swazzo's a maybe.
Yeah,
But,
Leon will be there, but he's
Leon-
not going to be in the rest of the series. He's kind of here on a training camp in the U.S. from Denmark.
Ida.
Yeah, same
thing.
kind of his counterpart from Denmark. Yep.
Yeah, and then Miranda Koplinski will be at SLO as well, and she might be one of the other ones who does kind of. And Chris Rogowski. I guess on the men's side, there's not that many, but on the women's side, I guess it transfers. But the women's field at Savage wasn't nearly as deep as the men's.
No. Yep.
But yeah, it was interesting. I really liked watching. I've only watched a couple of those all the way through. They're pretty fun races to watch because when people can fail and jump back onto things, they can still kind of be in the race. Where if it was a Spartan, they wouldn't be on screen. If they made their way back, it'd be like this epic comeback, but you wouldn't see them for a long time. But in Savage, just kind of pop off and come right back into the mix.
It was like Mario Kart. Like suddenly someone's back off the map in 8th, and suddenly, boom, they got a star and they're up to 1st.
Yeah.
The top 10 just kept shuffling.
Yeah. I think this is kind of what people have been missing. In the early years of OCR, you just had runaway victories by Cody, Claude, Amelia, Hobie. Like they just gapped everyone. And now 10th place separate in a 10K separated by less than 2 minutes, basically, with a very deep field and lead changes throughout. That it's not quite where track and field is, where you just have sit and kick at the end, but it was very cross country like in terms of just not huge breakaways. Still, ton of back and forth, picking your moments to make a move, and I think that's so exciting to watch.
I like that you said cross country because Kirk and I talked off mic this week, and that was our point. Our takeaway is that these big races, and we were talking about SLO in particular, you can't think of it as OCR anymore. Where I got to be in my position at mile 1, and it's cross country now.
Totally.
There's going to be a crowd, and I have to be okay with that. I might be gapped. I might not see the leaders, but by the time we get to the point where the course begins, we have to have worked our way to the front. And some people need to get up and front run from the start, but this is now cross country. This is no longer the old days of OCR where breakaway, get out of sight, you're fine. This is group racing, and that's an exciting transition for the sport.
So the way I see the difference between something cross country and what traditionally in obstacle racing would be is just the course demands and the way that things kind of funnel down. Cross country in general is going to be on wide set. You can have 8 dudes wide running next to shoulder to shoulder. In OCR, that doesn't necessarily seem to be capable of that because of like a lot of the single track. Where at Savage, it seems like at Equestrian Park, that is kind of how that's kind of set up.
Yeah.
Something like San Luis Obispo, which I've never been.
Well, could.
Do we think it could be wide enough that we could see like a pack of 8 people?
It's wine country. So, your image of what wine country is, it's not dense single track country. There will be moments of that, but you get some space out there.
I think the race.
Think San Jose. Think Temecula.
Warrior Dash World Championship first year.
There'll be some trails, but you're going to be able to run packed up for a while, I believe.
Have you guys seen the map?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
You want to pull it up? I haven't really taken a big in-depth look at it. I just saw the elevation profile, but not.
Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah, I can pull it up.
Layout.
It's different than what I was expecting it to be. On the website before, it was saying that there could be up to 1,700 feet of gain for the super, which is not going to be the case. It looks like 800 feet. And I think it's
still hilly.
It's hilly, but it's not, it's very rolling. I'm going to try to pull this thing up if we can find it.
I'm redundant to some people who listened to a show earlier this week, but if you break that down to what trail running is, a 5K, 400 feet per 5K, no one in the world would say, hey, I'm going to go run a fast flat 5K. It's got about 125, 130 feet of vert per mile. That's enough. Over 100 feet per mile is going to slow the roll and be miserable. Sure. And because it's kind of all douche grade. It's not steep climbing. Most of it means that you have to run it hard, and that's going to blow people up.
Oh yeah. And I think on the elevation profile, there were some hills in the second half, maybe like 4.5 or 5. It might only be 100-foot gain. That might only take a couple minutes, but that if your legs are out of you at that point, that's where the best climbers are really going to be happy that they stuck in it.
And there's a 250 or 300-foot climb in the second half.
Yeah.
The
'cause
very
the rule
end,
of
it looks like
thumb-
there's a big climb. Yeah.
I know if you're at 15% incline on a treadmill and you run a mile, that's a 792-foot gain over the course of the mile. So that's basically what this course is. And if you assume like half flat, half up and down, you're probably looking at about 5% grade for the average incline, which is that, just like you said, that douche grade.
Is it not coming up? I accidentally pressed live, so we're like actually live right now, but it's not. So it's acting up on the StreamYard. Can you see this?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing. Well, anyway, so it doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of. We better hope this works on your end, Jack. We might have to stop this. There's not, what did it say, 19 obstacles total for Super? Yeah.
Pretty
So
low.
it doesn't seem like it's going to, I mean, and very much like at the end, it's an obstacle gauntlet at the end, but no new obstacles, of course. Yeah.
But even that gauntlet, not super scary.
No.
You take out
No
the
tire
tire flip.
flip.
Now, no one's scared on the men's side. There's no nasty rig or there's been no grip progression in the last year on either side. So nothing's frightening out there except for the running.
The running is really going to be interesting because the first, like, it looks like you dip down right away and you get a little bit of a hill in that first mile, but then it's pretty flat looking. Like it's going to undulate a little bit, but nothing that's going to be some serious gain or descent. So it's just going to be fast. Are we expecting this just to go out crazy? Like, will it go out as fast as that Savage race went with like the distance being almost the same?
Without question.
Kirk and I broke it down this week. We think there's 8 to 9 people who prefer to front run and control from the front in this field, which means even if only one person decides to do it, like our odds of finding one is super high. So if we have 8 to 9 people who want to control and get people uncomfortable, this is going to be a fast start.
Yeah. The usual suspects are probably going to go out hard, like Batres, Tyler Veerman. Angel typically does on mountain courses.
Yeah.
You're going to see some people just go to the front. I wouldn't be surprised Mark Gaudette with his running right now.
Logan likes to be in the front.
So think of the races we've seen that. West Virginia, last year was probably the last time we saw someone crank out. It was Gaudette.
It was Logan
Batres
and
and Logan.
Yep.
Yeah, and Gaudette played chase.
Mhm.
People didn't care. What if there's 7 people with them now this time? You have to care now because up front, 2 people go out. They're not both going to keep it. And if they do, there's still a podium spot. 7 people go out. Now you're gambling that they're all going to blow up. Odds are they won't. Now that changes the dynamics. You are compelled to commit to a pace early. And I think that's the most compelling part of this deep field is that people have to make a business decision early on when the break happens, but the chase group is just the same size as the break group.
And the spear throw positionally, it's listed as obstacle 19, kind of like in the middle. If you decide to hang back and miss your spear, your whole plan backfired right there. Obviously, it screws up whenever you miss it, but if you're not in contention, then that happens. Like you could literally be a typical podium threat and finish like 18th in this race.
I don't see it's almost if you let the top group of 8 go, you're conceding to be finishing 9th. I don't see how people will come back in this, how fast it's going to be. And unless there are some spear misses, but how often is that going to happen? I haven't looked at the weather, but I think the weather there is generally nice. And that's would typically have a tough spear day. I can't imagine a day here in March is going to be that nasty for the spear. It's a penalty loop on the spear. I don't know if that's worth noting at all. Like the Olympus, box, and spear are all penalty loops.
This race reminds me of the SoCal U.S. National Series race from, what would that have been, 2017, where we had Hunter, Atkins, Monterey. Yes, Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, Atkins, Cody, and
Killian. I was just watching it and doing the research for this course. I put that one on.
Yeah. Now, I was in that race. And the way this first probably 2 miles of that course are, that's how I envision this course will be, minus the big Monterey climbs in the middle and end. And we were probably 16 or 18 deep in 2 abreast or single file, running low 5s for about 1.5 miles, 2 miles through terrain. And I was sitting in, I think, 12th. Hunter was in 10th. And Gaudette was in between us. I'm not Gaudette. Botras was in between us, and we were just flat out hanging on, trying to stay with it. And then we got to a bucket carry, probably 1.5 miles or 2 miles in. And then the race like began there, but there was a long preamble. Yeah, there's a long preamble of fast running, and then everyone got right back to it. I think that's how this is going to look, where it might get spread out, but everyone's going to have a partner. Like it's going to be one big wagon train of people rolling through this California terrain.
Yeah. Just looking at that course map, it's starting downhill.
Yeah, I know.
Like, imagine, I mean, it's only a couple hundred feet, but that's a few minutes. You might get in a bad spot.
Yeah, we saw that in Nashville. Same kind of thing. It's strung out, but it was a cross-country string out pack, or like a fast 10K where it's only like a 4-second gap, first to last, and you're just shoulder to shoulder hauling. It's going to be fun to watch if there's any amount of video.
we hope there to be some video. It looks like the bucket is in mile 4. It looks like it could be long, but that's pretty late still. So I mean, you imagine there would be a lot of the you kind of have to be established in your race at that point. And the sandbag is really toward the end. It's like 29, so that's like in the last third of a mile.
There's no equalizer in the first 5K. Like there's no great equalizer, no heavy carry, no spear throw, no giant nasty climb. I doubt there's going to be some bushwhacky or water trip. And there's nothing that's going to bring the field back together and balance out skill sets. It's going to be, you got to commit to 5K of pain in order to get to your other skill set. And the other people have 5K to get away before anything brings them back down.
So you would imagine the athletes who are going to do best here are going to be the runners, the terrain who might not be, or like the athletes who fall back when the terrain is a little bit nastier, when it's a little bit more technical. We should see them probably in the front, at least in the first half. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting when you put it that way, Bracken, how it's like, yeah, it's going to have to suck. If you're not willing to have it suck for and be uncomfortable almost immediately, you're not going to probably place where you want to be, at least on the men's side. The men's side is so deep.
I feel like it's almost as if you're trying, you saw this all the time in high school with like inexperienced people where someone basically PRs their 1 mile and a 2 mile. It's like, oh, that was a bad decision. You're going to see a few people do that and they know better, but if they want to place well, they're going to have to do it and just hope that their fitness holds on and they don't crumble.
I think Asheville is a good predictor of this race because that was not a climbing race, but those second half short little kickers, to use a Megiddo word, they ruined people's races. That final climb was only like a 200-foot climb, but it was after running really hard for 5 miles, and it made or it was the make or break for a lot of people. They couldn't do it anyway. They couldn't just conjure anything up that last little hill, and so late stage legs really will matter.
I think in terms of elevation and pacing, Asheville is going to be very similar to this. Only this is going to be in a dry climate because Asheville was a problem on the female side of the race in terms of obstacle completion because of the humidity and how wet it was. So there might be some athletes, the faster runners we will talk about. There's a couple in this on the female side that could really stick around and might be able to kind of put a big enough gap to change this race almost from the outset. So that will be interesting.
I will just add a couple things before we get into like the actual drafting. Bracken, I heard your episode with Kirk. There are actually 15 previous podium finishers at a nationals. You said 13, and that does not. It's actually 16 if you include Atkins, and then if you include Woods or Kempson, who we're still not sure about, that would be 18. The record.
Who did we miss?
I don't know. I don't have the whole list. I just have that as a note.
But
the record is 20. I'm not wrong in my stats, Bracken. You know that. But anyway,
listen, it's not what you know; it's what you can prove. Don't come at me with this little league garbage.
All right, but let me just finish so I finish this. But 2017 Tahoe had 17 finishers or 17 previous podium finishers from a national series event, or people who have podiums in an event period. So that was the deepest. Looks like we're going to be just short of that, but
that was a world championship event, correct?
Yeah, that Monterey race had 15 that you were talking about, the 2017. So this was right up there. This could set the record for the most depth on the men's side in terms of previous major race podium finishers.
Where does it project on the most competitive races of all time list? Can you project that type of thing?
That's a thing. I would say national series wise, this is about as deep as it's ever been in terms of where really good people could finish. I think previously, without having Killian, Cody, Hobie, some of the old breakaway pack, like those guys were definitely a step ahead at the time of the chase pack. I think the chase pack, without question, anybody can slip up, and positions change dramatically these days. I think we're missing a couple of like those top end people in this race, especially with potentially Woods and Kempson not racing. But in terms of depth, this is as good as it's ever been.
Question for you. That you say, so this is going to be one of the top 2 off-road depth fields. What do you think was the deepest stadium race there ever has been, the most competitive?
Good question.
I would say it could have been that
probably.
City.
There's
that City Field one, probably.
Okay.
What's your list say?
How did that work out?
Did you win that?
That's weird, but I didn't get your vote for greatest stadium racer of all time. But I won the Super Bowl of stadiums.
Does Killian get your vote for winning? Or Atkins has only won one world championship. Cody, Hobie, Killian, they've won multiple. Like,
no. I just find that interesting that you stated there was an undebatable, not me, and yet at the undebatable deepest race ever. Wow. I had no point. I was just thinking.
I don't think Kent was there, was he?
We roomed together.
You did in that one? Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, fourth, I think. Jack, you're just applying chips. You're doing what we do on the show. You're giving chips on a shoulder.
No apologies.
Now. So, yeah. No, I'm not here to talk about me. Do I look like someone who's here to make a statement? No,
absolutely not.
I'm observing on things.
You're just trying to be a fly on the wall right now. Just blend in.
Okay, so that was unimportant. Let's continue on.
Yeah. All good.
So I like the way this map looks. Let's get into some of the draft rules. So we draft snake style, 5 men, 5 women, 1 wild card. We're allowed 1 keeper each race outside of the top 2 picks. The season is going to start. No keepers.
No keepers from Abu Dhabi.
No keepers from Abu Dhabi. We're doing cross-country scoring, so it's going to be the sum of your top 7, not your top 5. If you know cross-country scoring, we're just modifying just a little bit. And we're going to combine the top men and women finishers of your top 7, and the lowest score of those finishing places wins. We're doing a dual meet style, so it's head-to-head scoring. So each week, our teams will have 2 different outcomes. What did I miss? What would we like to amend? Is there anything that we want to put into place this year? Whether it be side bets, we could do something official on side bets. We
didn't even take care of last year's side bet at this point, so I think it's a little early for that.
I propose a keeper rule.
Okay.
I propose that in this first week, someone is allowed to pick a keeper regardless of pick position. If it's your first round pick, you can keep them, but they must be kept for the entire year, and you're docked 1 draft pick every draft after this. Example, you get the number 1 overall pick. You can lock that in as your keeper, but you have to have them the entire rest of the year in your 5, even if they're not available. And instead of 10 rounds, you only get 9 per draft.
So they have to score. That's a scoring spot, you're saying?
A scoring spot.
So, okay.
We don't have to. This is. Okay. I'm okay if it's shot down, but it's a little carrot I want to dangle out here.
The Lindsay who might not race the rest of the year, you pick her.
Well, why would you keep her?
If you pick her as your keeper, even if she doesn't race, she would have to do that. Like,
true, that'd be the worst keeper pick.
Yeah. I'm just laying out an example.
If someone retired after race 2, you had them as a scorer the rest of the year. However, let's say you got. Let's say you have
Annie, like Annie last year or something.
Annie, like you picked her, she's yours and you get to keep her the rest of the year.
Right. That would be an example of it really working out well.
Or
correct.
Was
Nicole
healthy, ran
getting hurt after the first one.
When do we have to establish? Like, is there going to be is the first round of this draft our keeper for the entire time?
No, if other keepers stay normal. But at some point, you can designate your franchise player. But as a result, they're in your lineup every week, and you're docked a draft pick.
We would have to. Like, when do we have to establish the franchise player? Like right now?
Before the next draft.
Okay. I was gonna say if you do this at like Utah,
Okay.
that's way too late.
So we don't even have to say yes or no to this right now. We can just chew on this for a while.
I think we should decide it.
We should decide it.
That's going to affect who you pick.
Okay.
If we don't like it, let's not.
Let's talk about pros and cons here.
I mean, I'm going to gamble all season no matter what.
Because this is for you last year.
Well, this is like this is sort of a gamble, right? Like it's I don't know.
I do not like it personally.
Let me clarify. They don't have to be in your 5, but they're on your roster the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't give up a scoring position if they're out, but you give up a potential roster spot every single week.
So I think first person's way more valuable than your wild card or 10th round pick. I think that it's way too favorable for whoever ends up picking first or second
this round, right?
This
they're your
particular
first
round.
pick every draft.
I know, but
you don't get your first pick, and then you don't get your last pick every draft after that.
Well, if you don't get your first pick, you're really guaranteeing that you get X person.
You're right, and then you don't get your last pick as well.
But how often did the 10th place person actually factor into scoring? Not often, honestly.
Every one of my draft. And if they get injured or don't show up, they're still your first pick.
You have to keep them. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I'm okay if we don't do it. I submit it to a vote.
This, I think, would work in like an auction style, because I think that Jack is right that it's going to be up to the wheel of names to determine who, like if I was to draft Lindsay, I'd probably take this option, even though she might not race all the races. But the ones that she does is like a guarantee 1 or 2 almost.
Yeah. And the toughest part is, like, even if you pick third, you would be guaranteed Lindsay, and Lindsay's not falling to third. Let's assume she were to do the whole season. Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of eliminates the help of having that first pick or in the draft that, like, granted you finished worse the week before, but I don't know. I just don't like it because we should do keepers for everybody or just, I don't know. I just don't like that it has to be in rounds 1 or 2. I think that the rule that we had where everybody had the opportunity to pick a man and a woman, then you can do whatever keeper after that. That's a little bit more fair in my opinion.
I think I'm going with Jack on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't a bad idea, but I think that
don't sugarcoat it. Shoot me down like a man.
No, it backs people into a corner too much if you don't
Jack,
get
I intend to put you in a corner.
All good.
The dunce corner.
It was a bad idea, Bracken. 2 of us thought it was terrible.
There you go, Jack.
Yep.
Let him know.
There's the fire.
Well, any other rule amendments we would like to kind of kick around?
Do you want to mention the seating essentially for the Wheel of Death or the Wheel of Destiny, whatever it is?
So last year we didn't have any type of waiver. We had like a waiver priority, but that was more behind the scenes. That didn't really affect the draft at all. But when we went to do draft order, everybody had the same chances of getting their pick, and whoever was selected got to choose their position for the draft. And Jack won the wheel of freaking names the last 3 freaking weeks, and then ends up winning the whole thing. So now we're going to do an NBA draft lottery style where you get more chances to have the first pick. So since I finished in last, I get 3 ping pong balls. Bracken's going to get 2. Jack, you get 1. And then we'll change that each time, depending on the place of the standings for the remainder of the year.
Now, the amendment I will add for that, if we're just scrapping all keepers, everything last season doesn't matter now, shouldn't everybody have equal odds for this first pick? And then based on whatever Big Bear is, whoever did well or poorly here, that's when you do the 3 votes for number 1, 2 votes for number 2, 1 for number 3.
Why are we even trading gifts of NBA commissioners if we're not going to follow the NBA protocol, which is last season determines the first pick for this season?
That's the main thing. If we want to do the draft lottery thing.
If you guys need all this extra ammo to beat me, then I guess it is what it is. And I hope that I'm that 1 in 6 that it comes up first, just so I can stick it to you guys.
You can't have it both ways. You can't want to be the champ and not accept the trappings of champhood.
All good. Yeah. Let's do it. You guys can take whatever leverage you need on me.
And we don't need to change all the rules now, because we can do whatever we want. If we want to change rules next time, we can change it next time.
It's a group vote. We're never going to have a tie.
All right. We feeling good?
Yeah.
So before we do the draft order, once we get the draft order, we'll just get right into it. Jack, who is not coming to this race that we know of on the men's side?
Men's side. Okay, I was going to start with the women's race first.
Do women then. Whatever makes it. Whatever's easy.
Biggest names on the women's side: Annie Doobie, Nicole Maracle will not be there. Faye Stenning, Amy Cross had a top 5 showing at one of the races before. Miriam was supposed to come over from Europe a couple times last year. She said she will not be here.
I think Miriam's only goal in life is to throw off our drafts.
She's been doing
whatever our intel says, she does the opposite.
Yeah. So maybe we say that she isn't there and then she will show up.
Because she was waivers for Abu Dhabi, I think, right?
I wavered her.
Man, that was
really
tough.
Useful.
That was tough.
Yep. And then Rhea Coble will be doing the rest of the series, apparently, besides this one. So she won't be here. Sarah Kai's same intention.
Nice.
So get some pretty big names who will not be there.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at the list of women, the depth wasn't quite there. It was before Lindsay said she was
still it's gonna be a crapshoot trying to guess like 5 through 10, 5 through
for
15
sure
on the women's side, honestly.
Absolutely. But before we knew when Lindsay was coming, it was like I have no idea what's gonna happen in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
How about dudes? What dudes aren't coming?
Biggest names probably Bracken and Rich. No, Brian Gowiski, a regular on the circuit, he will not be there. Ian Hosick is starting his season in Big Bear. I was kind of surprised with that. Let's see, Josh Riedinger, same deal. Love to see him throw down. You're not really seeing many Canadians like Mick Girello, Samuel Hebert, Sean Stevens-Whale. They won't be coming down, but you'll see that, and Brendan Neely, you'll see them once you go up to Canada for a couple of races. Robert Killian won't be here. And Sean Roberts, we know he's not doing the series, but Forrest Bogue, I think he's dealing with some injury issues, but he's always a threat for top 10 whenever he shows up. But there's some really big names who will not be here. Nick Riker, but doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of talent there anyway.
The biggest name.
Oh, Nick.
Got him.
Yeah.
That's a burn. That's a deep burn.
I'm surprised at Ian because I think he went to Cal Poly, right?
Yeah, I thought he was
probably online.
The zingers that keep coming. He's on a roll.
I hope Chris Bob Brown shows up because this strikes me as a course where he can go out and light some people's tail feathers on fire.
And there is a trail.
He's doing the trail.
He will be present at the venue. He will not know if he's racing until that morning.
Okay. And like we said, we're not sure on Kempson and Woods. We've decided as a group to not draft them because we don't really know what they're doing. They're not really giving up some info if they are going to go. So we're just going to take them out from this.
Did we decide that?
Floated it around in our group.
Floated it around. What do you think,
Let's decide now. Decide now.
Oh, I have no feelings on it. Sorry, I was grinding on the treadmill, putting in my daily effort, Jack.
I was getting ready for my 3-hour lunch break, so I had a lot of time to discuss it.
Had to rub the sleepies out of your eyes before that lunch break.
It is PM now, so I'm good. Yeah.
So what do we think? I mean, I'm for that because we don't know if they're going to show up and like if nobody drafts them or they have keepers. That happened last year, right? I think that happened with Kempson last year, maybe for Utah, whereas like someone got him at the last second. But
here's the deal: he's intentionally vague.
Mm-hmm.
And while I like the guy, if he wants to play that game, he's going to have to deal with the consequences of no one in America drafting him.
He's not drafted then.
No.
He's out.
I asked like 108 people, and I got 107 or 106 direct yes or no's. Ryan Woods and Ryan Kempson were the only two who did not answer me. That's what I do for the people. Okay.
You do that.
They were the only two. And Woods was like, I don't know, I'm fat. And then of course he does Savage Race the week after. But I feel like if he did better at Savage Race, he probably would have been more inclined to do this. And he could very well buy a flight tomorrow and end up doing it. Kempson just doesn't give a yes, no ever. So I think for purposes of this, they'd both do great if they showed up, but I think it's just giving a gift to whoever has waiver priority.
What if someone wants to draft them? Are they off limits for drafting?
I mean,
I just think we need a hard and fast ruling.
for the rest of the year, same day. Like if I've asked you and you guys have, reached out to people and stuff, if you can't give an answer and you're not injured and you don't have like some impending work thing where you're, you can't make it. I don't know if you're just saying, I don't know, maybe I'll decide later. That's not really fair to making a good decision for us.
Media. Some people are media adverse, I guess. And that's where it comes to. I say we just don't, just because I don't know.
What if I want to draft them first?
And you want to keep them for the rest of the year? You want to put them in the franchise mode? Then you do it, man. You do you.
Because Ryan Wood signed. He's tier what? One?
Tier 1, yeah.
Doesn't he have to be there?
No.
Otherwise, he forfeits his first child, I believe. It's the Rumpelstiltskin clause.
Yeah.
You can negotiate that one.
The Watzel-Stiltskin.
All right. Well, 5 seconds. Yes, no, are we going to do it? I would say no.
I'd say no.
I think they're dead to me.
All right.
That's it.
Dead to all of us.
All right,
We'll
let's
talk about them.
Let's spin the wheel. I
Can
gotta
you get
share
on
the
screen?
screen. I'm gonna give it a shot here. Hopefully it'll work on the Chrome tab. It popped up a second ago. You guys saw it before, right? Is it up?
Remember, I identified colors correctly. So.
That's true. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, color.
I got my targeted ad. See, we just bought Carl a book bag to go hiking with, or a little dachshund. So now I'm getting a bunch of targeted ads for book bags for dog
Nice.
bags, I guess you should say. All right, we're spinning the wheel. This is for who gets to pick first. Who gets to
Monroe.
choose their pick spot.
Oh,
Oh,
dang. I thought
worked.
that was Bracken all day.
It worked.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this is weird. I bet if we did it on our browsers, it would have been different.
I forgot to remove my name.
Oh, how interesting. Keep rolling.
Again.
No.
I get to-
You got to. No, you have to do two versus one exactly for the statistical odds.
yeah, that was my fault.
No, this I like.
Come on, yeah.
Oh,
Hell yeah. There we go. We got it now.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
You guys tried to screw me. Doesn't matter.
Ooh. I think
I-
there's collusion.
I had nothing to do with it.
I want to draft second.
I'm not convinced you guys aren't in the same dwelling right now drafting. Little Miss
could be.
Colorado's over there.
Very well could be live draft soon.
This is
Yeah.
Midwest exclusion is what it is.
It's just like Spartan race. It's
Super
par, it's
biased.
par for the course.
Yes, it is.
Yep. It's the whole East Coast to mountain or Rocky Mountain transition.
Bias.
We're in on it
Yeah.
together.
Jack, which
Man,
position
I'm
would you
trying
like
to
draft?
remember.
You're trying to remember what?
I think there's enough good talent. I'm going to go first.
Bracken, you were
It
there.
never worked out for anybody, but I'm trying it anyway.
Hubris.
Oh man, I had a strategy, and I've done this in fantasy football and basketball before. It's like, what's an angle I could pick where it's a little bit like try to outsmart everybody and see like the best, and I always end up getting last. So now I'm just going to go with the traditional sense and just hope I get lucky, because that's basically what this is.
Yep.
To me, this feels like the LT years when you draft LaDainian and you're set, but it's almost too much pressure. If you're second or third, you don't even have to worry about. There's a whole clump of people, and they're all as good as each other.
Mm-hmm. That's on the men's side.
It's like running backs now. You have so many people in like the 800 to 1,000 yards a year. You have like one Derrick Henry, and then just a huge clump of people. And it doesn't matter which one you take, because they're all going to be close to each other.
All right. The 2022 fantasy season has arrived. It's time to draft. Jack Bauer with the first pick.
You can see my screen.
I see your screen.
All right,
I'm gonna
going
switch
Lindsey
over
Webster.
here.
Going Lindsay.
There is no such thing as a sure thing in OCR, but I feel like if this is genuinely her final race, she's the defending world champion, the greatest of all time. I do not see a way that she is going to lose on her last big race.
So how do we interpret? Is that how we're interpreting that announcement? Is that she's going to run this race? And
She's not focusing on OCR specifically. She'll still, she's not going to just open
Still
a
gonna win
bakery and
worlds.
gain 70
Yeah.
pounds. Yeah, she's still going to be fit. I just don't think she's going to have her main focus as OCR.
the way it read to me, it's like she's now entering the field of everybody else. She's now is taking on a job and not going to be able to train full time. But even with that and her experience and her base of training that she's had for the past, I don't know, how many years has she been full time OCR? 5, 6? I don't know.
Probably since Battle Frog days, like 15 or 16. Yeah.
Here's my question. Have they ever trained like full-time OCR athletes?
I think that the way that they trained is how a full-time OCR athlete would train, because it's like that's kind of the only full-time athletes there were. What is your meaning behind that? Like very specific, your meaning?
Yeah. They had their irons in so many different fires. To me, it seems like she's going to have less maybe overall training time, and then she'll just get specific on one area. It's going to round out her other area. She's still going to win worlds this year.
I agree. I would take her also to, and that's so like Bracken. What I would argue is like, however they're training is how a full-time OCR athlete could train, because they're doing it the best.
True.
You know, so like maybe we're not doing it. Maybe we're not training like a full-time OCR athlete. But I think you're right. I think
correct.
I think that focus is, maybe that the Ryan Kent effect, where it's like less time means more focused training on the things that they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But just with their base of experience, I don't see how it.
Well, she's kind of going to be like the Hobie Call transition here, where he ran 100-mile weeks for a while, and then he switched down and just did 30 miles, 20 miles a week and a bunch of quality and carried off his base for a while. She has so many hours of base that she can reduce base for a while, just still hit some technical and speed stuff here and there. And she's going to draw interest for maybe a few years before it starts to really come back to earth.
I agree. And like the only way that I feel like she will actually walk away is if the competition just becomes less enjoying, like she gets less enjoyment from the actual competition.
Or she has children.
Or because the undertaking that she is doing, like she's opening like a bed and breakfast, essentially what it sounds like. She's kind of operating Airbnb and wants to turn it into a cafe. And if that's like going to be full time, that's not like online coaching, nothing against the online coaches out there, Bracken, myself.
It's just a bunch of succubuses. Succubi?
Jack,
Sure.
What's the plural there?
Succubi. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Cousin of the cactus.
All right. Good pick, Jack.
All right. Who are you going with, Rich?
I'm taking VJ.
Shocker.
Taking VJ here.
You know what? I got someone I might have wanted first overall anyway. Give me Emma Cook-Clark.
Okay.
I am a Lindsay believer through and through. However, I don't think her stance at the top of this sport is going to look as secure on Saturday as it did every day in the last 5 years leading up to Saturday. This is a course set up for her to run away from things, and there is nothing glaring to trip her up or slow her down for several miles. And then once there is, it's not really failable stuff in their penalty loops. I'm not saying she's going to win because that's disrespectful to Lindsay, but if she wins, I'm going to have 0% surprise.
If there's a course that she's going to beat Lindsay on, it's this one. Because
shouldn't be technical.
It shouldn't be technical. It's to be dry. Like you mentioned Asheville, where Emma in her first race ever took it out and was killing the field before she ended up doing like a zillion burpees and still getting fifth.
We saw her at Tahoe. That was late stage season, and she looked so good. Mm-hmm. And she looked really good in Dubai until things went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But when has she beaten Lindsay? She's had chances.
Well, true, but I mean, everyone has to get their first one at some point, and she's
But Lindsay also screwed up twice in Asheville. Lindsay also missed her spear in Abu Dhabi, and she made the same mistakes that Emma did, and she still won by several minutes over her.
I'm not arguing against Lindsay. I already said she's probably going to win. She's the best ever. However, when did Nicole beat Lindsay? Until
early
she did.
Season. Good, yeah.
And then all of a sudden she beat her, and it's like, oh wow, well Nicole's now the non-technical mountain best, and now it's going to be interesting how they balance out on the courses. So you have to get your first one, and I don't think you can hold it against a young athlete that they haven't done it yet.
They've only raced twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So who
Sure.
knows?
No,
You know?
Emma, in my opinion, is she's going to break away with Lindsay. Whether or not she gets ahead of her for a while, it wouldn't surprise me either. I think it's going to be those two by far in the front of the pack on the women's side. But
Here's what we know. It is a downhill start. Lindsay will not be leading off the line. Lindsay's not a Ryan who has this explosive 30-meter to 100-meter start. Lindsay rolls into her pace. And the last time we only have 2 examples to look at with them. And the last time this happened, there was like a 50-meter gap 100 meters into the race. So we know she's going to start out in first. This time, there's no water or river or mud to slow her. So it's going to be on fitness to slow her, not nature. So again, I would ride my family's life on the line with Lindsay all the way, but Emma's coming.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Had we approved keepers, I would have picked Emma first anyway.
It's like starting a franchise. Back to that question.
Yeah. All right, who are you going back to back? And I feel like we overlooked VJ, but we've talked so much about him in the past.
Let's talk about him. Let's talk about it because it's important for the men's race, right? Like where this course is a super distance, which VJ is amazing at, like a 10K distance. It's going to be the transitions through obstacles are going to play a huge part in whatever separation anyone at the top can make. Coming down from altitude to sea level, not incredibly steep. I don't know. It just seems like a course, if there's going to be one where he'll be able to run away, like we've seen him run away from the field before, like this seems pretty similar to those.
He just hasn't shown more than one singular weakness. And the only weakness has been duration. And this race isn't going to be that. And we've talked about that narrative's not fully true anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's lost, it's been duration.
Mm-hmm.
This race isn't going over 90 minutes.
This might be
an hour.
I was going to say like 45. This might be 45 minutes.
Sorry, under an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. That race in Arizona was, what did he run? He ran like 37 minutes or something.
39.
Like, there's going to be, this will be a little bit more elevation gain than that, but I'm guessing like 45, 43 minutes or something like this for this race.
I'm guessing like 41 to 43 with all this depth, just pushing people to PRs essentially. Like,
I'm really torn on this pick. I mean, not VJ. He's just the best at everything other than long right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's that close, but who's second right now?
Good luck.
Could be. Now, what's going on with this list? I'm still seeing Kempson and Woods on this list.
I put them as, I'm just putting them on the list originally, but I can delete them if you want.
Or at least is there anyone else on there that doesn't belong?
We don't want to see them. We don't want to see their.
Those were the only two. Here, I will strike through their names.
Through their names.
Okay.
Right there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am going to make this pick solely based on what I've seen this year. I'm going to take Rylan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I think there are 6 people that could all be this person. But I'm taking Rylan.
This is, I mean, the last time we saw him at a National Series race, he did finish second. So it's not crazy.
Here's the logic I'm following.
Okay, let's hear it.
Hawk Call led for over an hour and was seen as he's probably going to be the next best, fastest rolly course kind of guy. Rylan just beat Hawk at a very similar course to this in a 30-minute race.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was like a 21-minute race.
No, that was the sprint.
Hawk wasn't in the sprint. You're right. Yeah.
Right.
So I really should take Ryan Atkins. I really should take Josiah. You know, there are some people here that I should take, but Rylan just feels like the it girl this year. I think he's got a crazy level of confidence, and his noob gains are just real. I'm taking him.
Yeah,
he's not going to fade either.
He's dealing with a little bit of an injury. This is why he didn't race in Arizona. It's still early in his season, but his confidence, his mindset is really going to be the best of anyone really in this, as good as anyone out here.
He's not lost.
I'm going to regret not taking Atkins, but I gambled all season, and I'm starting out that way now.
I don't even know if Atkins is the next best person to take, honestly, after his bike ride, but
He might not be. But we don't know. I mean, what did he do at Worlds after he did, what was that called?
Eco Challenge.
Eco Challenge.
Eco Challenge. So I don't know. Go on, move on. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm gonna start second guessing.
Rich, who you going with?
Now, I was really hoping you were going to take Atkins, Bracken, because
It removes the easy, glaring choice if I take Atkins. Now you get to play around with names, but is Atkins going to be a Rogers who's just going to drop through the draft now?
I still feel like he got 5th in Asheville in a similar course to this, and he's beat up. I'm just giving my honest opinion on it, but do what you want.
There were 6 people I thought deserved that. Maybe 5.
I mean, yeah, I got to take him. Give me Atkins.
Damn it. I was trying to talk you out of that so bad.
This is I didn't want him. I was hoping, I thought Bracken should have taken him twice, but this is the race.
When is the last time that anybody has ever said, I didn't want Atkins? Like, how crazy is that?
It's the wrong course at the wrong time of the year, coming off the wrong event he just did.
But he
still might win.
He's probably going to win. Yeah. Yeah. He's just that, like, it would be silly not to. The one time I did take him last year, or I took him a couple of times last year, but I had him in Asheville. So that's in my head. I know he's not a guaranteed 1 or 2. This is the course that it could be like, and how deep this field is and how things might kind of stretch out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, he's going to be ready to rock. He's as competitive as anybody. He just has a little bit of know-how. He's like the transitions, like I mentioned for VJ, he's not going to lose time on obstacles. If anything, he gains ground on them. If the bucket carry is long and grueling, if the sandbag carry is long and grueling in the second half of the race, that plays to his advantage. What else?
Yeah, the only question is, what did those 350 miles in the tundra do to the first 5K of his race? That's the question.
Endurance. He's plenty of endurance gains coming from that. Like, yeah.
The second half's going to be just fine for him.
Yeah.
Can he hang on through the first 5K?
So far, I'm doing the opposite of my strategy. Jack, who are you picking?
See, now the order becomes important because third round is where you get the keeper.
I thought, oh yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to go Tyler Veerman next and then Hawk Call after him.
Dudes. All right.
I have these guys in that same clump.
Clump. Just boom or bust, or
2nd through 6th.
Yeah.
Tyler, Atkins.
Tyler's dangerous right now.
Yeah.
Double win in Jacksonville, and those were not easy races against people.
No.
Super confident. He's traveling, he doesn't have a whole cross-country flight for this one. I don't know. I think he's as confident as he's ever been. And he did that the week after, like a 55K trail race in Moab when he did Jacksonville and ended up winning against Riker, Kirk, Alvaro, a pretty solid field over there. I'm confident in him.
And that answers my question, right? Because that's what I would pose him. Like, what is it like the amount of training he does in the mountains, chasing vert and the ultra stuff? Like, what has that done to his ability to turn it over fast? But he won a race with Kirk, who's one of the fastest guys, Alvaro, who's definitely one of the fastest guys, like a super distance. Although, those guys made mistakes in that race.
They made mistakes. He was coming off a 55K.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I mean. It's like,
what do you trust? Which stat do you trust more?
When Tyler showed up last year, he brought it. I think he was podium. He
was like
Virginia.
5.37. I think he got 3rd in West Virginia, right?
3rd in West Virginia. Did he run Utah? He may have been 4th or 5th
so.
there.
He never finished worse than like 7th. And over the past couple of years, I remember we talked about this in our season preview episode. Like, his worst finish was like 11th in Big Bear. Over the past few years, he's on another level right now. I genuinely think so. And reason I took Hawk in round 3 was because I want him as a keeper for next week or next race.
I did my tiers as well, like what Brad was saying with this clumps, and I like to break it out. Who can get top 3, who can get top 5, then who can get top 10. But I had like 15 dudes in that, so it didn't really work out that way. But I actually had Hawk in one down because I had him in my third tier. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For this rate, it's just early. I don't know. I guess just because the other guys who are coming, I feel like there's.
I gotcha.
I don't know. What do you think about him on this course?
I don't know. I mean, he raced with Rylan. He was hanging with them on basically most of the course, and then got dropped towards the ends. And he's coming off a college cross country season. I feel like he's probably pretty fit, or I guess at this point, he's a few months removed from that. But
yeah, Bracken, remind the people what you did after your last college race.
I ran a 16:39 5K 2 months later after getting the double down at KFC and not cooling down.
Yeah.
So it could be of that college mentality where it's like,
I get it.
Yeah. 2 double downs.
Double.
Yeah, one was crispy, one was baked.
I'm surprised they even had
for health reasons, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised they even had like a grilled version of the double. It's like, well, I don't want to be crazy here.
All right,
I want it, but I don't want like excess calories.
Yeah,
yeah. We got to speed this up because I got to get back to work.
Listen, you do what you got to do. We'll put you on auto draft.
I'll think about that. Yeah. All right, Rich, who are you going with?
I'm gonna go Ida here.
Oh yeah, my draft has fallen into my lap.
So Ida's
coming. I was actually torn on her as well. Rich, so.
This like
she looks good.
This like third spot, this podium spot for this race is really kind of up in the air for me. She's looked great. You know, she beat Alex Walker at Jacksonville by quite a bit. I think over a minute on that course. She just pretty much killed everybody in that Savage race. Even though it was like less deep, but Miranda's not a joke. Chris Rogowski's not a joke. When it wasn't even a race when she was in there. So it's just gonna be about running. Like, where's her high end running ability? At OCR World Championships last year, she mixed it up with the fastest runners. So she's gonna stick her nose in it. And I don't think that the obstacle is gonna be a problem. So it would have to be, I don't know. It'd have to be just come down the fitness, and she looks pretty fit right now.
She has stay power also because she got like 7th in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, so I could see her for that podium spot. I kind of like her for that third spot.
Yep.
I had her as my 4th female. So I still get my 3rd.
Yep.
So thank you. I would have been perfectly happy. I was going to take her or the other one. Whichever you didn't take, I was getting here. So
who are you taking?
Rose,
obviously.
I've got Rose. I've got Rose.
All right. So how's her fitness?
She showed up all last year.
She did.
Yep. She showed up all last year, and now she's been down in Mexico. And what do you do when you can't run mountains? You play with some speed. So she had all off season in Colorado and wherever else, and now she's down there sharpening up. I just think she's not over the hill yet. She had one of her best seasons last year, and this is a good course for her, I believe. So give me Rose.
Nice. All right.
This right here, I think, is going to be my hardest pick of the draft. Because if I'm going to count here,
people on the board.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 men who I believe can all go top 3 in this race.
I know.
So regardless of what I pick, 2 of them are going to be left for me after this. So I'm going to roll the big old dice here. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Ryan Kent.
Oh,
nice.
Smart move.
I was hoping he'd hang around.
There are
Were you going to pick him next, Rich? Because I was taking him next if he was there.
Because I wasn't going to take him next, but I would have on the way back. Like, just because my draft got screwed up.
First and foremost, he's my boy.
Yeah.
I love me some Ryan Kent.
Second of all, fan favorite on this podcast.
He is monster fit right now. And I don't believe people realize how running fit he is. He's running volume at
Rich
altitude.
And I know.
You two know. Yeah, I'm talking to 2 Coloradans here. And third of all, the last 2 times we saw him, he made podiums. And the last time we saw him on a course like this was San Jose, and he was the class of the field other than Woods. Woods dropped the field. He dropped the field behind Woods. And this is going to be less hilly. And I don't think there's a weakness in his game. The only weakness you could say is that he's rusty, but it's the first race of the season. So I think that negates it for most people.
He's not race rusty though. He's Spartan rusty, but he knows, he's been against everybody in US championship for High Rocks and DECA.
And he has a body of work.
Yeah.
I didn't race for almost a year, and I came back and I had a terrible race, but I could obstacle smooth just fine. Like, that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Ryan Kent.
I like it. I'm going to be pulling for him.
This is going to be a male-heavy draft because there are still 6 guys who could all maybe even win the race.
Yeah. Kent could get 2nd. He could get 10th.
Yeah. There are 4 guys who I think would be smart money to push for the win still.
I ended up picking Ryan Kent third on the podcast with Nicole and Matt, which should be coming out soon.
Spoiler.
So I fully believe in him.
Yeah, good pick. All right, it's coming back to me. I'm taking Renee Mcintyre.
Woo! I wanted to have her on my squad.
So, looking at this course, if there's a course where she's going to do well, it's this one. Like, dry obstacles, fast running. It's cross country. We talked about it before. And wasn't she like cross country All-American? Did she win cross country? Like, wasn't she? How good at cross country was she in I mean, that was several years ago for her, but collegiate cross country athlete at Colorado was like, I thought she was All-American or something. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she was. Yeah.
She certainly didn't win nationals, but I think she was All-American.
Yeah. She told me that she's also in current fitness where she's going to go after some masters track world records this year. So she's fit.
So Jack, when you would take her last year, you talk her up, you get excited about the fast runners coming over and you want them to do well. And often they don't.
Yeah.
So when you were taking her last year, I was like, good. Like, this is not going to work out for Jack. So, and that makes me happy. But she's back for a 2nd year. So it means that she either cares about this has been practicing for this. Just that seeing her name back on this and that she didn't start to head to different endeavors makes me think that she's put in some work here. So, and if she did, this is the race where it's gonna play out. And with a field that's not super deep on the women's side, I could see her sliding right into that podium spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because she hasn't doesn't mean she won't.
Mm-hmm.
I also am excited again by your pick because it doesn't tap into who I have ranked here. And I think I'm going to be sitting pretty 3 picks from now, guys. So keep doing your thing.
This is really tough because there are some good names on the board.
There's some studs on the board.
I am actually.
We have 2 world champions on the board.
Yep. I'm actually going to go kind of a surprise. Hunter McIntyre.
Oh, let's go. The hybrid athletes are off the board.
Here's the deal. Hunter, in any other year that the U.S. National Series was coming to California, would be an odds-on favorite to go top 2. He is historically maybe the top 2 or 3 ranked athlete, male or female, in this field. However, he might have done irreparable change to his body over the last 2 years.
He's jacked.
He might have gotten to a point for the first time ever where his trail running will not live up to what it has been. He's always been the outlier runner who can run with anyone in the sport, no matter how big he looks.
Yep.
And he might have finally jumped the shark.
He's looking leaner in some of his videos though.
But he's so far removed from his true.
He's not 190 pounds anymore. He's
still, and I'm less concerned about his weight, but his true mountain and trail training. I think he finally lost touch with that top end running. I hope I'm wrong because I love me some Hunter, but it's crazy that for the first time ever, he'd be picked in the 4th round, and it might be a reach.
Yeah. Well, you got to realize with that High Rocks event, his timing chip fell off. I went back through the video, just kind of did some splits. Ryan Kent was running in the low 340s. Hunter was consistently in the mid to upper 340s. So he's not too far behind there. He's going to put his nose in the competition. I know he's not as fast as some of the best pure runners anymore, like you just addressed, but Hunter has never finished worse than 5th. I know that the field is a lot deeper these days, but he is just one of those people, just like Atkins or Lindsay. It doesn't matter. He's going to find his way in the front of the pack at some point in the race. A couple heavy carries late in the race. I don't know. And he's historically done really well in California. I'm willing to gamble on him because
and you should
win. He could get 12th. I don't think he'll get 12th. I think he'll probably be about 5th. But I'm not disappointed having Hunter, even though it might be a reach in some people's eyes.
When was the last time he ran a Spartan race?
2017 Tahoe.
So yeah, I mean, that's your comparison with Atkins and Lindsay is just like out the window right there. It's like,
I get it.
I mean, for the sake of the sport, like I like Hunter. I hope he does well. He's going to be competitive. I know it, but for the sake of the sport, I hope that he doesn't get top 5. Just because of all these other athletes who are dedicated to the sport, that would just be insane. He's
still doing like 15 plus hours a week of training, and he's been doing that this whole time. It's not like he's just been
Frazier.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the fact that the guy couldn't break 20 in a 5K.
For sure.
Right.
The training.
We'll see how it goes. Where would you guys have picked Hunter?
I had him in tier 4.
I wanted someone to pick him so that I didn't have to make a hard choice.
I would have taken him with the wild card.
I didn't think he would get back to me at the end of round 6. That's the only reason I took him here.
I wouldn't have taken him there.
Me neither. He's a tremendous unknown though, right? Like he's somebody that like has done it. He could do real well.
He's never not done it.
Right. He's never not done it. That's the thing.
He ran away from Battras and Hobie and Woods and all the fast guys at that Tough Mudder championship, the 10 mile away. He's got speed. I know. But yeah. I just think he always surprises people with his ability. And
you need the stats they need adjustment. They need new data points for this.
I get it.
Stats are in your head. We'll see. I'm over here talking shit. He's probably going to crush.
Yep. I believe in you, Hunter. All right.
I'll never doubt the man.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, my guess is he is a step behind the current runners now.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
We'll see. We know that 60-minute time domain, if it's in there, he's as good as it gets. But
true.
Yep. Anyway, my next pick, I'm going Alex Walker.
All
right. Feel like she's the best woman remaining. She had a couple podiums last year, consistently fighting for third through 5th at all these big races, and I don't know. I feel like really good value pick at this point.
Can't go wrong with that pick.
Yeah, just a matter of how her running's coming along. I mean, she's been getting faster and faster every year, so she can stick her nose in it and hang around. It's early in the year, so
she's race ready because she went down to Jacksonville, did that.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, how many torque athletes have you chosen?
I don't have any torque athletes yet.
Oof.
I was
just curious.
An insult.
I don't mean anything by that.
They're going to start flying.
I know you believe in them. I know it. No matter what you may, show with your front-facing appearance and picks, I believe you believe in them.
This is what happened at Abu Dhabi last year. I was just like, torque. And then after the fact, I realized it wouldn't work out. You guys used it against me, and now I'm playing to win.
Well, plus I did that call with them beforehand and gave them just like the worst advice.
Horrible advice. Yeah.
It was a long con.
Don't worry. Yeah, it worked out.
Don't worry about gators.
Sand's no problem. Just go out hot.
It's gonna be cold. Yeah.
I literally said, "Don't worry about gators."
You did. I've heard mixed things about the sand situation from that. So I'm gonna take Ariel Fitzgerald here.
Okay.
With this women's field, she seems like one of the ones that the top remaining athletes left. She's always kind of in that mix from like 5 to 8. We'll see how her fitness kind of keeps popping up. And there's just
big ceiling.
Big ceiling. So I feel very solid. It's going to be a good scoring spot.
I can't argue with it other than that the best female remaining who's getting just dumped on here is Chris Roglowski. Lock her in for me, Jack.
All right. Solid pick.
Third place,
Christopher
OCR
Kowalski
Worlds.
is-
Current top 1 or 2 in several decas. She was a stud in her High Rocks, took second to Ida in Savage, and has 100-mile endurance.
The
She's
one thing
young.
the one thing you didn't mention is a Spartan race.
No,
She got to show me.
no. Her other body of work tells me she can do this.
She hangs with
She's-
Alex Walker in the local races. She's placed top 10 at West Virginia before. She's done it. She just doesn't do as many Spartan races.
My worry is that what happened in Savage is where there was a fast runner in the field and she wasn't even engaged.
Yeah.
She truly wasn't in that race.
And I agree.
Yeah. So
I'm glad she got it out of the way so she can just rip it up this week for me.
start crushing. Yeah, if she sticks her nose in and just sees, but that'd be the thing, right? Like, but do you anticipate? So, say like 5 women go out. Do you anticipate her to be like let them go, or to stick her nose in that? Like, is she going to be fighting for 6th?
My hope is she lets the rubber band stretch and not snap, and then starts rolling. That is my hope for her. I'd love to see her insert herself into the race and find a new level of her racing. I think she has that capability, and she needs a mental breakout race. She's had physical breakout races. I'd love to see her go outside her comfort zone a little bit. That's the beauty of having massive endurance, is that you can take a little chance early on and have a little bit of a safety net there. And I'd love to see her use that.
And she said on your podcast, she races at like 85, 90% all the time. So
Yeah, she's a 4/5 racer.
Yeah.
I'd love to see her roll the dice one time.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, there's not going to be obstacles that's going to help bring her back into this. Like, she's going to have to get there.
She won't fade.
She won't fade.
But
will
we'll
that
see.
get her 8th? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
If she's outside the top 5, I will be shocked.
Okay. All right.
Shocked. If she's outside the top 4, I'll be shocked.
You'd be shocked?
outside the top 4?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I shouldn't say shocked. Outside the top 5, I'll be shocked. I think that she is going to be between 3rd and 4th.
I have her
Wow.
6, 7.
Yeah. But was
All
that
right.
are we coming back, Bracken? You have another one?
Yeah. And all my guys are still there.
It's crazy. It's like hard to know what to do with the dudes.
I mean, you just described me out on the town. I don't know what to do here. Let's see. 1, 2.
There are like 12 good guys.
I think I'm just going to go with speed kills and experience. And this guy is due. I'm going to take Mark Botras.
All right.
Yep.
I don't dislike that pick. I dislike that I still haven't been able to say Josiah or Lars or Kirk or Gaudette or Broadbent or Johnny. Like, there's just so much there for us.
8th round pick for some of those guys.
Someone's going to be picked in the 7th, 8th round pick that is going to make the top 3 podium.
We're gonna run out of picks. We're gonna legitimately
Keep in
run out of
mind, you get 5 men, 5 women, and a wild card at the end.
What are we at here? What
Wild
are we
card's at
sitting?
the end.
Fill up both genders before.
Correct.
What
Wild
are we
cards after.
sitting?
That was
you scroll down, Jeff?
You have 3 and 3, Bracken. You have 2 more of each.
Right here.
Balanced approach.
Nice. Well, Batris is, I mean, it's like a home turf type of thing. We know he does well in these Southern California style races. It's home to him. He did well at Asheville, where he's 3rd off of 0 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
He did really well in West Virginia until he faded, but he had 30 minutes or 40 minutes, 50 minutes of race in him, and that's all he's going to need.
He didn't race particularly well in LA. I think he got 4th there this season. So it's early in the season, coming off of a couple ultras. That's the one thing that might give me pause on like where his preparation is. Right, he probably had to take an extended break, but just based off of his years and years of training and skill and speed as an athlete, like he could be on the podium.
All right,
Rich. So I'm taking Josiah here.
Yeah,
you
it's
said you were
shocking
going to
he's
do it
still
the
here.
other
I
episode.
said I was going to do it, and I'm doing it. Yeah, I could have the podium. Right? I have VJ Atkins and Josiah. So like I
Yeah,
very
seriously.
well could have, but like we saw him do well at the beast distance or was that a beast in? No, that was a super in Big Bear, right?
Big Bear.
So similar to that, I mean, he took it out hard. That was a much hillier course, but we saw him do well in Jacksonville, where it was flat and sloppy and nasty and early in the season, right? So his fitness seems like it's always going to be present. No tire flip, dry obstacles.
If we're going by, this is the course for the runners to establish themselves. Who has a better body of running work on the men's side than him in trail running? It's a great pick.
Yeah.
This would have been a great pick.
He was going to be one of my two.
2 rounds ago, 3 rounds ago.
100%. 100%. They're just lasting. So yeah, he was okay.
If you look at the 3rd round, do we believe either of those 3 are potential winners?
Which they're the ones that we just took. What do you say?
Round 3, Hawk, Ida, Rose. Is anyone giving them serious potential? Maybe Hawk.
No.
Josiah might have a higher chance to win than anyone we've taken in the last 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's what we talked about in the preview, though, right? It's like he's run a lot of races, but he also would know what to do in something like this. Like this type of competition in the front he's not going to be phased by the jockeying and the experience. So yeah, we'll see.
This is really tough because there are some. Oh, sorry, my boss is calling, but I'm just going to ignore that because I'm.
Rich, do you have a boss?
Yeah. No boss. Bracken, you?
No boss.
No, man. It's just me.
I'm ignoring him. So that's how I roll. Let's see. Oh, there are some good names on the board still. I said that for my friends. I can't see you guys because I'm looking at the screen. So let's go Kirk DeWint. I'm stealing him. I know you guys want him. He was in contention up until when he missed his spear in Jacksonville. And according to Nick Riker, who saw him in person, he's not lying. He's stupid fit right now. So
when was the last time Kirk didn't look stupid fit? Kirk's always looking fit.
That's true. I mean, don't
Kirk
forget
has a bigger base than he's ever had right now. And since he's been in the sport, he has better staying power than he's ever had.
Yeah.
And Jack's just trying to piss me off.
Hey, you had all the chances in the world. You thought Mark Batros was a better pick than Kirk with your last pick.
I thought you were going to take Kirk with that pick.
Don't you dare put words in my mouth.
And then, oh man, I am torn on these people. But I think with the flat and fast, I'm going with Mark Gaudette.
All right.
Representing Colorado Springs. So yeah. I mean, he wasn't too far back of VJ when VJ set that fastest ever super record, and he's just a little slower on the obstacles, but his running fitness right now, he did that the lumberjack workout about a week ago. I mean, it doesn't matter with him. He's got so much volume anyway, but he's fit right now.
I was going to take him or Batros, and I took him, hoping he'd drop to me because I knew Josiah would go next. Yeah. And I was hoping that someone else would go. So I can't argue with either of those picks. And Kirk's the same one. Has he had a podium yet? No.
Fourth.
Does everyone expect him to break through at some point? Yes.
Yep.
And he was on antibiotics going into Jacksonville. And he on Thursday called me and said, "Hey, would you still pull the trigger?" Like that's how he was feeling. When he gets an infection, like he right away, like his immune system still dating back to his black mold in college is just not good. And so he gets rocked by things. So Jacksonville was him not at full capacity.
We just need to see him there.
He just has to put one together. I know it's coming.
Yeah. The last time that's been, has there been a race that he can point to where like Jacksonville 19?
He's had 2/4.
Yeah. Yep. Well, like, because even like it always seems like there's something that then unfolds itself down the road. It's like, oh, actually, I had a stress fracture or something.
He's always had something. He hasn't been 100% healthy and fit at the same time since entering the sport.
And this is a maybe for this race.
This is as close as it's been.
Yeah.
Other than his knee, which probably needs surgery. So, there's always something.
I believe in Kirk.
We all do.
It's happening.
All right, Rich, do your worst.
Lord, there
are a lot of good names.
There are some freaking names out here. I am truly unprepared for this pick because there are just so many names that could be.
I have 3, so you can't possibly take all 3. So whoever you take, I'm just firing rapid fire right after you. So just do it. Do it to me.
Give me Logan.
Yep.
That was my next rank.
Yeah, this course for Logan is like okay. Like Logan has good speed. He's like a good climber. There's no tire, which is huge actually, because he's like just hasn't been able to do the tire. He's slight.
You either want no tire or an impossible tire with Logan.
Right. Like Jacksonville with the impossible tire. And he's just like, nah, screw that. And everybody else tried it. It's early in the season for him. His fitness is like okay. He's always like pretty fit. Like I think he's one of those guys that's always like a little bit ready to put it together at any point. So it's just a matter of like how his health is holding up. But he was our breakout performer last year at the OCR Awards, the Okras. So see if he can put another great season together. And then like he started off on fire last year. So early season, he comes with it.
All right.
Back to back, Brock.
I'm taking Lars.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Glenn.
Glenn is on fire this year.
I mean, this is a course made for Glenn Race.
Yep. It is.
Did you try giving me Johnny Luna Lima?
I saw his name when I scrolled up, and that was what.
Speaking of which, we have Johnny, Aaron, and Angel sitting here.
I know.
No, I mean, this just speaks to the level of this sport right now, that if anyone has even one question mark about them, they plummet.
And there's one guy left. So
yeah.
What do you mean?
Someone's not getting picked.
Oh, nice. You guys have all the dudes. You guys picked all your dudes. Great.
All dudes.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
But
Rich,
here,
you get whoever you want.
Go over Glenn real quick because he's in his early 40s and hasn't really raced on the circuit besides Big Bear last year. That was his first time in like 4 years or so.
Glenn spent the last 2 to 3 years working on ultras, thinking that was going to be his game. And then he kind of just rediscovered his love for fast. And he's still fast. He's still a sub 16 guy.
Yeah.
And he's been hanging with these guys in the sprints and the supers. And this is a good terrain for him. And what Glenn has, he has 2 things. I should say 3. He's not afraid to go out too fast. He's gonna get up in it. He's also has the experience. He's not gonna panic if he's in 15th place a mile in. And he's super gritty. He's one of those people that doesn't change his race strategy depending on his position. He's just going to peg it the whole time. And I think that's going to be a key skill. That's why I took him here over some other people, is because whether he's in 12th or 5th with a mile to go, he's going to be bringing it home. And there are going to be some positions to be had in the last mile or 2 of this. And I think Glenn's going to be going Pac-Man at the end of this and just omping people up.
I believe he's one of only like 5 or 6 people who have 3 top 10 finishes at Tahoe or Spartan World Championship ever on the men's side. People don't realize how good he's been throughout his career. So I'm excited to see him, even if he's, a few years past his prime, he can still throw down.
Yeah. Familiar terrain. But Bracken, this is like one of those LeBron picks that you have where like LeBron's GM, he picks the guys that were balling back when he was balling. And these work out for him.
Him and Kent. Glenn is one of those guys though. And I think it starts to matter at this point. He's not shop worn. Like he's a young 40. What is he?
40, 41 probably. Yeah.
41. He's young with that because he didn't grow up running.
He
didn't even pick up running until like as a hobby at late college. When he was in grad school, he started running.
Wow.
And it was just like
fast.
It was just a random kind of like put it all together myself. And he's just progressed late. So he's 41, but he's in, I don't know, just post collegiate in terms of his running history.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have a severe drop off like some of these other athletes you see who have been running for 30 years, 40 years.
Yep.
Compelling case. All right. I'm going to take Miranda here. Miranda Kopinski.
was hoping she would drop to me. I had 2 women left who I thought were more suited for what we're about to see. She was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, she's fast. It's a good distance, like the beast distance is something that she's going to have to progress into, as she's also just a new endurance athlete. She stuck her nose right in it with Ida, but just kind of the obstacles got her a little bit by the end of that Savage race. That was really it. Like, she's not a super tall athlete, so the Savage obstacles are kind of hard. But yeah, I like that it's not technical. She was 6th, I think, in Asheville, right? 6th or 7th in Asheville, so she's at the top 10 there. She's pushed a lot of chips into OCR this season, so this is a good kicking off for her. So,
and she looked good at Savage.
Savage, yeah.
Her stride even looked better than the time I saw her race last year.
I think she has some untapped talent, and I think as the season progresses and as she learns more about the sport, I think she's going to be really hard to deal with on the course.
I agree.
She led the world in podiums last year, so it's another thing, just proving she's only at the beginning of her improvement. Yep. All right.
Jack.
So back-to-back me. I've got to pick women for both of them. I think at this point, I'm going to go Hannah Holmes in round 8. Do you know about her?
I know she's on the dream team. I don't know much else about her.
Whenever Jack asks, "Do you 2 know about her?" He's about to get up to the pulpit.
No. I was just
you guys know about her? Oh, I'm totally unprepared. Allow me.
Yeah. No. She is on the dream team, like Rich said. Ran in college. Was sitting in top 5 at OCR Worlds before her shoe came off in the mud, and then just kind of fell apart after that. But she did the Colorado Springs race last year, and she ended up beating like Ashley Heller, I think Rose even in that race, because Rhea won both days. So flat and fast. She has some guidance from Nicole this year. You saw how everybody on the dream team did, so I like her chances of doing well. And then my second pick, I'm going Ashley O'Hara. I think whenever she steps in the course, you saw her in Big Bear, that she was, right up there early on. She's not a great descender, but she's fast, and she got 4th in Jacksonville. She was in like a 3rd place battle with Rose basically all race until the end. And I don't know, I just like her potential and her performances in the past a lot. So Ashley O'Hara is my pick.
Okay.
Rich.
So then, okay.
You're even.
2 more picks, right?
And your guys are still
1-on-1,
I suppose, because we can't take them.
Can't take them. Yep. So
you're in a nice spot.
I'm going female here.
Both strategy.
We're going torque, baby. Let me give you Lacy Burgess.
Yeah.
Now, she is coming off of ACL surgery. So ACL repair surgery. This will be her first race back, but like we talked about, we mentioned it briefly in the preview. She's pretty fit still. I mean, she ran what was it, Jack? 125 or something for?
Yeah, like a 126.
126 for road half.
Marathon.
Yeah,
and that was in Austin also.
Mm-hmm. So she's pretty fit coming off of it. I mean, her grip strength is going to be great. She's a good climber. This is going to be a matter of how confident she is hitting the downhills. I think is going to be important, just kind of getting the race legs back under her. But
where did you say that half was, Jack?
Austin.
Why does that matter?
It had some rolling hills instead of being
they found a little bit of
something.
Yeah, a little bit of hilly. Nice.
Yeah. First half is flat. Second half is where it happens. So
yeah. No, similar course setup. Maybe she'll finish in 125. Really help Rich out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have her.
There's a lot of options here, but I'm going to take Ms. I don't take worse than 8th place in U.S. National Series.
Faye Morgan.
I was going to give her. I was going to take her, but I was like, this is Bracken's girl.
I don't know if I like that phrase as a happily married man, but I do like to roll with her as an athlete. And then I'm going to round it out with, I feel like, her counterpart, which is Casey Monroe.
I
always lump those two together in my mind.
I don't know how she lasted this long. I honestly probably should have picked her, but she has a huge track record of doing well.
I mean, she was like 5th or 6th in like every U.S. National Series race she ran last year. Again, it's health. She had a couple races earlier this year where she was beat by some athletes that I didn't think she should be beat by. So I don't know where she is currently.
And to be clear, I had no, like, I didn't put them in a special order. They shouldn't take any chips off that. I just went, one was listed above the other, and I was going to take them both.
Yeah. All right, so that rounds out Bracken's 10 until the wild card round. So, Rich, you are up. You have to pick a guy.
Yeah.
There are some men left here. My goodness.
There are. But I want Nick Mask.
Oh, he was going to be my wild card.
Wild card. Nope. That's why I wasn't going to pick. I was like, okay.
Okay, he's lesser known to the general audience. So give us a little athlete breakdown here.
So Nick is pretty new to the sport. He didn't get a tremendous chance to race last year, but like the past 2 years, he's raced the Seattle Beast and has won and has beaten good competition. Last year, he beat Chris Bob Brown at the Seattle Beast. I think that was awful. And he beat Aaron the year before that when Aaron was at like peak shape.
Kind of nasty at the time.
Yeah, really nasty at the time. Nick is really talented runner, collegiate steepler, and he's just kind of getting into the mix of this sport. Has one or two East Coast races where he hasn't done really that well in.
West Virginia.
West Virginia didn't go particularly well for him, but this course terrain, I mean, he's confident. He's super tough. He has like a reduced workload from a career standpoint. So he's been able to kind of really push in his chips for training this season.
Is he torque?
He's torque.
And that means something these days.
Means something. I got my torque athletes after you mentioned it. I had a plan. Don't worry.
I had a plan, which was save them for last.
And yeah, I think he's going to do great. I mean, he's like I said, super tough. He's been committed to this sport, so I'm excited. He's part of the development team this year, which I was happy he was able to get onto that. Shouts to the Bauer rankings, I guess. So yeah, I'm looking forward. It's like he could be someone that could finish in that top. He'd be like 5 to 7, and people be like, I have no idea who this person is.
In this deep of a field, also, yeah,
for sure. Like, it wouldn't be. He'll be in the mix. No one's running away from him.
I have a question about this Jack Bauer development squad.
Yeah, well, I wasn't.
There are multiple people in their 40s on that squad, and there's a Johnny Lima who's already had multiple National Series titles. Can you be on a development squad if you're almost a senior citizen, or if you're already one of the best people in the world?
Yeah, I wasn't in charge of the development squad. I was in charge of getting the tiers, and then that, I wasn't in charge of coming up with like what benefits athletes get. It was just what criteria gets you there. For the development squad, it was more, we just wanted people who have huge potential and stuff to stick around and who's had great performances in the past.
Feels like the flex slot.
I think the wording
needs some rebranding.
Squad
it's not the farm team though.
No,
I think the word development was a bad choice there.
So what I think happened is there was an internal Spartan memo that said in development, and someone else was like, "Oh, it's a development squad," and they just named it. And because no one has any oversight, it just went through.
Could have happened, but no.
Rich, and I apologize.
I was saying some of the athletes are like a Nick Fitzpatrick, I think is a good development.
There are some people
Callie Schweikart, I think should be in the farm team. But yeah, it seems like there's some other like Mick Girello's on it. It's like,
I wonder if we can develop him into something good.
Yeah.
Wonder if Johnny will turn out to be something someday.
It's like, check out this development team. It's working.
Matt Rock, he's a spring chicken. Let's get him on the development team.
Yeah, Matt Rock would do well also here.
He's good.
But, yeah,
still available.
Yep. All right, so last pick is me, and I have to pick a woman. I think. Oh man, which one of these two? I think I'll go with Ashley Heller at this point.
That's what I would have taken for you, Jack.
That's who you would have gone with?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ashley's proven it time and time again. She kind of fluctuates every once in a while, but her ceiling is really high when she puts it together. And it was either her or Amanda Nadeau who's making a comeback. But I think Ashley Heller is the better choice in this case.
For wild card, Jack, do you go first for wild card?
That's how it was set up all last year. It was just bounce back from there.
Still snakes. That's fine.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna have to go with Johnny.
Yeah, not so wild out.
He's too good to like not get chosen.
Here's the wild part.
He might finish 18th.
I picked him first overall in a draft last year.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
Utah.
one?
Utah.
Dang. Let's
Not first
see.
overall. He was my first pick.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And we were like,
that was the wrong sheet. But
and I remember
that's
we were
crazy.
saying it's like we think that Johnny's gonna win.
Yep. Pretty crazy. I mean, he got 14th in Alabama a couple of years ago, and then ended up winning a race or 2 races later that season. So it's like just all over the place. We don't know what he's been doing the past couple of years. Hasn't had a ton of race confidence. But guess what? If we see Johnny 2019 version, getting him as the 31st pick in this draft is just stupid. So I'd be dumb not to take him.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't keep a wild card as a keeper, but
Yeah.
because realistically, Johnny had some things to work on. I think headspace and physical preparation. I think he had to get a little locked in, get back to his killer self, get some of that underdog feeling in his mind back, because that's when he was dangerous.
Yep.
I think that success was a different mindset to be in, being the chased rather than the chaser. And he had some work to put in to get back to that. If the work's in, he's a first round pick.
Yep.
If the work's not complete, he's a few races away from it. So this is hugely disrespectful to Johnny that we let him slide this far.
Yeah, it really is disrespectful.
And it speaks to the quality of the field.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I guess maybe in the later rounds, maybe I could have slid him in there, but it's kind of roll of dice. We don't know.
Yep.
He's a wild card here.
All right, Rich, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Angel.
Oh, come on. He's mine. And you know this, Richard.
I do know that. I let you have Faye. I'm taking Angel.
Always gets overlooked, but he's consistently in that 5 to 10 range. A couple times he's podiumed. Solid pick.
And how he does well on these California races. I mean, he was 3rd at Tahoe just last year. Typically, he'll be at Monterey. When has he had his good races at U.S. National Series? Like
2nd Big Bear. Prepping race, he's always a force. He got 2nd behind Cody Moat, or maybe 3rd behind Killian and Cody Moat.
Utah, he was 2nd or 3rd in the Beast one year.
He's that's elevation mountain courses, but the guy's got wheels also for flat courses. And
well, that made my choice a lot harder here because I was fully locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
This is the person we collectively think will finish 18th on the men's side, which is just laughable in a normal.
I don't think that's what we're saying.
We've picked 17 guys before.
I think you're playing the odds in each round. If I had to put all these people in a race, I would expect Aaron Newell to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only way I can solve this. If this was the field showing up, I would take Aaron. So give me Aaron.
That's a good way to go by it.
However, because that's not what's going to happen, Aaron might be willing to mix it up early. And some of these guys are going to run a more strategic race and beat him by a lot. Or maybe it's going to work out this exact same way. So I'm not even saying that's good logic, but
how crazy is it? Aaron double podiumed at the race we began this podcast about, Savage Race.
If it was a Spartan, I would have given it more credit.
Yep. Yeah.
But
he made up ground a lot.
Yeah, the obstacles played into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of fell back and kind of made his way back up.
Which could happen here too.
Could.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to stick his nose in it.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
He's going to go out and hurt. We know that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. And it makes sense just taking the men's field is just so wide open from 3rd to
20th.
18th that Aaron could finish 18th, he could finish 7th, so that's all of our wild card picks I wouldn't be surprised if all of our wild card picks score.
Look at Brent Trail, crap ton of podiums, super fast. Jesse Bruce, I mean, he's one of the best in Canada and has been for basically a decade.
Jesse Bruce.
If it was any steeper, I would have picked him relatively early.
Yeah.
I haven't personally raced him on a flatter course, so I don't know what he does there.
That's a good point. I don't know either, but thinking he would get, because I think he was 14th at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. He was
13th?
4 minutes behind Atkins at Blue Mountain in the Beast.
Yeah,
Beating-
If this was any other
we may
race in the
screw that one up.
series, I would have drafted him.
Yeah.
Josh
Fry.
might be an
That's right.
animal this year.
He
Yep.
got 6th at Tahoe last
Tahoe,
year.
I think he was 5th because I picked him.
Was he? He may have been 5th.
Yeah. Leon, universally respected as one of the best short course racers. He's not rusty. He's done a couple races this year, hanging with the some of the best in the sport. Matt
I would have
Rock.
picked him had I not had a phone call with him yesterday.
Oh, really?
He
Not-
just talked
not
about how his
impressed.
running just does. No, I'm impressed with him, but his recovery from injury, his leg's still not 100%, and his training hasn't been able to be where it should be. So, but yeah, name recognition, Leon.
He's still got 8th place at OCR Worlds in the 3K where he's like, oh, I'm just going to walk the course. It's like, no, you didn't. He still crushed it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks in there. Matt Rock, just always, he's just a very tough competitor and he'll put his nose in contention. Michael Suazo, he's just improved so much on the East Coast. Oliver Evans, he trains with Hunter and he got right around 10th at Big Bear. Jacob Klinker, that he's improved a ton. He had a couple low teens finishes. The other athlete from Mexico who's making a trip, Emmanuel Sierra Camacho, he was right around 10th at Tahoe, and he consistently podiums in Mexico. So
Klinker could be a break. He could do what Josh Fry did last year in Tahoe. He could be one of those people that's taken another leap forward.
Yeah.
For sure. Another year out. He's one in Boulder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, another year at altitude, depending on how training's going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alicia, Amanda, Kayla, Emily, Aaron.
Easily could finish around 10th.
They could be that 6 through 15, and you just pick one.
They're all
Amanda
good.
Got
6th at Tahoe before.
Yeah.
Amanda's really good. Yeah, and Alicia she's poised to have a really good year this year. They should keep her. So I think that, yeah. And from the last couple of picks that we had on the female side, there's no doubt that they would be in that mix.
Casey Monroe was the last woman, or Alex Walker and Ashley Heller and Casey Monroe were the last 2 picked. That's crazy, but that's how the chips fell. Let's do a recap on
the harder it is to pick.
Let's look at these teams.
Bracken. Here's your team. Want to read it out?
On the female side, we have Emma, Rose, Chris Roglowski, Faye Morgan, Casey Monroe. I'm going to be surprised if Emma, Rose, and Chris are not all 3 in the top 5.
Emma,
obviously, I'm more of a Chris believer than the two of you are.
It very well could be.
I'm going to send her these clips because I need her getting out after it.
Well, if you look at
Chris
it,
is without a doubt one of the top 10 or so women in the world, in my opinion. If you look at her overall body of work, I just don't think that she has the foot speed right now to hang with Emma or Rose or Alex Walker, Ida, Lindsay. So I think she'll probably be in that 6 to 8 range, but which is still a fantastic finish with this field.
Offense meant. Yeah, but when you look at it, our top picks, you got to pencil Lindsay in for a top 5, and then I don't know on my side, Ida probably. So yeah, I it's not when you said that at first, you're like, yeah, you would be surprised if Chris wasn't top 5. I was kind of yeah, but looking at it now, realistically, she could very well end up there.
And I think we have some recency bias towards the other women in Spartan because Chris hasn't shown it in Spartan, but she just made a world podium at OCR Worlds. And she beat Rose.
Yep.
So then on the men, Rylan, Ryan Kent, Mark Botras, Glenn, Aaron Newell. I have a little bit less big name star power, but if you take a look, what did you say?
You didn't mention
Lars.
We didn't even talk about Lars because this will be the first time I think we haven't seen him on a super steep course.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see how he translates over. But if you look at our preseason awards, Emma, Rylan, Rose, Kent, Roglowski, Botras. Did Lars receive a vote?
I think all 6 years got him.
So I have 6, maybe 7 preseason award winners.
Yeah.
So, if some of them may not have been on a course like this, but the fact is that the pedigree's there and it's first race of the season. That's the big thing. This is all guesswork right now.
Yeah.
This is all guesswork.
Solid callback to the preseason awards though.
Thank you. So if I had to guess, I think I'm going to be looking at I'm going to be scoring right around 30 points.
Okay. I don't think that happened all last year.
Yeah, I think 32 is about.
You're gonna throw up like a 60 spot. So.
Like your guys are like
boom or bust.
Yeah,
Super.
it's very unpredictable what's going to happen there. I think Kent will be top 5. I think Rylan.
I could have the podium, and I could have no one in the top 5.
Yeah.
Yes, like Batrus could be 3rd. He could be 13th.
I think you're going to have 5 women, 2 men scoring.
Can you send me that clip afterwards, Rich, just in case?
Okay, gotcha.
For your top 7, yeah.
I'm taking anything I can to discredit Jack's prowess.
That's fine. This is early. We don't know anything. You just said it a minute ago.
I didn't say I don't know anything. I'm saying we're speculating.
Gotcha. All right. I guess I'll go up next alphabetically. All right. Women's side. Lindsay Webster, Alex Walker, Hannah Holmes, and both Ashleys, O'Hara and Heller. So Lindsay, pretty safe bet. Alex Walker, you know what you're going to get from her as well. Hannah Holmes, kind of dark horse pick right there. And Ashley O'Hara and Ashley Heller both have really high ceilings, have finished 4th and consistently in that top 10. Little variability depending on the course, but I like their running. So I think that those are solid picks. What do you guys think?
I'm interested in the Ashley O'Hara pick. You know, she's now also under the Dream Team wing. She was previously coached by Kempson, who if she's not coached by Kempson anymore, is that good? Like, I can't say it is, but I'm interested. But if she's still coached, I don't know if she's still coached by Kempson or not. If she's coached by Kempson still, to take another leap, has some more support with Dream Team, I could see her having a great year. But if not, I don't know. That's be interesting to see on my end.
It's the interesting gamble of Dream Team, which is their stance on this is, if you join our team, we would like to support our in-house coaches, because what are we saying about them if our own team members don't use them? And I understand the logic, but changing coaches is always a little bit of a risk. And I guess that's as far as I'll go into that. But it's an unknown. You can't quantify the transition. And so we've seen some people join and do well. We've seen some people join and get hurt. We've seen some people join and drop off. You've seen some people, like Annie obviously did really well. You know, it's
for sure.
And Emma. So we've seen a mixed bag, and you just don't know.
You don't know. Like, so she could be your second place finisher, maybe at that high if she makes a leap, or she could be right where you drafted her. And depending on where Alex's fitness is right now, I mean, she had a couple great U.S. National Series races last year.
2 podiums and a couple 5ths and a 4th.
For West Virginia, she should have got 2nd. She failed the multi-rig at the very, very end. So and she comes with it early in the season. It's just how well is she going to stay? So,
yep. And then men's side, Tyler Veerman, Hawk Call, wild card on Hunter McIntyre, Kirk DeWint, and Mark Gaudette. And then my actual wild card is Johnny Lima. So a lot of speculation there on how they're going to do.
I mean, that feels like mine to me.
I was thinking the same thing on the men's side. It's these guys could be awesome, or it could just be
that's kind of the line that I rode all last season. It was a few reach picks and then kind of steady, you know where you're going to get, but they could also have a really good race. If not, you kind of know their floor.
I hate to bring it back up to apply just, but Hunter with that in that 4th round,
I could look really good or really stupid. So I'm prepared.
It's just, I mean,
he was 1 minute behind Ryan Kent in High Rocks, and he's never missed top 5 in any race. I understand that, the field is deeper now, but he was still competing and beating Cody, Hobie, Killian, Atkins, some really, really elite names, Woods, throughout his heyday. And I get it. He's removed from that, but I'm taking a flyer here. He put that this was his schedule for that Beat Hunter contest. So he's had this on his radar for a while, and he doesn't have to travel. So I like his chances.
Maybe I'm discrediting him as a competitor with that. And maybe he is going to be like your second finisher.
Rich, you were in High Rocks with him. You saw him up close as recently as anybody.
Wait, are there a lot of sleds at this competition?
Doesn't matter. Yeah. There's a sled pull.
Here's the thing. Hunter should never be counted out. He's one of the maybe historically 5 best men the sport has ever seen. However, we've repeated one theme throughout this show, which is this is the course for the runner to come over and do well because there's nothing to trip them up or slow them up. And you just described the opposite of what Hunter has been the last 2 to 3 years, which is the runner. So should you ever bet against him? No. But just kind of like if there was a race for Lindsay to lose, this might be it. If there were a race for him not to come right back in and assume his spot, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, it's strong arguments on both sides. I expected him to be picked by round 5. That's why I kind of reached for him a little bit. I didn't expect to get him back at 18 if I passed him up at 12 or 13. So.
And you're 3 picks behind. Like Alex Walker will score high. Kirk and Mark will score well. So it was a good spot to take him. And Hawk Call, who knows? Honestly,
he could win. Who knows?
He could win.
Yeah.
As of prior to him racing Rylan, I would have said he's the best young prospect in the sport, and he's probably going to win this race if VJ doesn't. And Rylan beating him, I think, again, maybe recency bias.
That would be
or
crazy
he might have been
if
like,
Hawk wins.
The calls get into shape so quick, though. Like when Hobie would get beat, he'd show up 3 or 4 weeks later and just annihilate people. Like we might see a little Hobie turnaround out of Hawk right now.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
All right,
we got to put some odds on this. We'll make that the next thing. We'll put some odds out and
Team Rich
get some action going. All right, on the female side, I have Ida Steensgaard, Renee Mcintyre, Ariel Fitzgerald, Miranda Kopinski, and Lacy Burgess. On the men's side, I have...
You might have the first 4 finishers.
VJ Jones, Ryan Atkins, Josiah Middow, Logan Broadbent, Nick Mask, and Angel Quintero.
Look at team.
Look at those dudes. Coming into this, I was like, I need to go heavy on the women because the field is less deep. On the men's side, that middle, we have no idea. That is just going to be luck. Honestly,
has anyone ever had VJ and Atkins on the team together before?
I don't think so.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. I think you have the highest percentage of your men hitting. I think they have the highest floor of any 3 teams. Your men have the highest floor.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get results.
Yeah. I would say it's fair. On the female side, it's going to be a little bit more, but like that's the thing. There's not like on the men's side, a guy could get 5th or could get 15th. Like on the women's side, an athlete could get 5th or like 8th.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I wanted to go heavier on the women, but I think that's going to not matter as much. If the men hit, great. Then I think I'll be in a good spot.
Your top 3 men will not make mistakes, and they won't be mentally out of it. So our sport, a lot of times we have to worry. I wonder if they're going to be confident coming in. VJ, Ryan, and Josiah are just going to be locked in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's just no question with those 3. So you just have to find 2 outside of that.
Nick
I'm happy with it.
Could have a dangerous race. Logan's confident as ever at the beginning of the season, usually.
Yeah, I like the Renee pick. I'm interested to see how that goes.
Look at that Hunter and Renee round 4.
What's that?
You have a team that can support a reach.
Right.
Because you have so many guarantees that a Renee, if she falls off, it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Because you only need 2. You have 3 guarantees. You just need 2.
We score 7.
Sorry, Jack. You were talking round 4?
Oh, I was saying both of us took a reach in round 4, me being Hunter and then Renee for Rich. So
maybe that's the move. Round 4 is
and then Ryan Kent. I don't feel like he's a reach right now.
I mean, he's still. We want him to do well, and like his fitness is probably as high end as anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He didn't race all last year, and like we'll see how much the depth of field and how much sharpness is going to matter.
Kent of old was boomer bust. When he was on and locked in, he could race with anyone. He beat Atkins head-to-head in Seattle. He took second to Killian and then to Woods in West Virginia and San Jose. Like he took it to people, but then he'd have races where he'd get dropped.
Yeah.
Since transitioning to hybrid racing more, he's been the most consistent racer. The question is, does that transfer back? Is he a new athlete because of that? Or is that because hybrid racing is just more in his skill set? But I almost don't think it matters. Fitness begets success, and he's fit and he's confident. He's not going to be afraid of anyone. And I think he expects to win.
Yeah, he definitely does.
How many people here actually expect to win?
VJ, Atkins, probably Rylan and Kent.
Hawk might.
Hawk might, yeah. I could see Hunter.
Like thinking you can win and expecting to win is different.
I don't think Rylan would expect to win at this point. I think he thinks he can win or is going to try to win.
Yeah.
But like VJ and Atkins, they think they're going to win.
And Kent, I think he has the same certainty.
I agree. I think so too.
Yep.
Well, and that's powerful.
This draft went nothing like I thought it would. Wrote down a bunch of notes and was expecting, blank person to be around. Three rounds later, they get picked early. Other people lasted way longer.
That's why I play the game.
Yep. If you made a team of the players left over, you might beat one of our teams.
Yeah. Well, not yours because you're going to score 30. Can we get that in a sound clip, Rich?
Yeah. I might put up a 30 spot.
Yeah, per person. Yeah.
What are we thinking? So Athlinks is not carrying these races
I'll
anymore.
Be there. So
you're there?
Yeah, I'm helping with coverage for the women's side.
Just the women's side?
Yeah. Steve Hammond's doing the men's side. I'm doing the women's.
This is breaking news?
I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
You finally found a better looking Magida.
That would be what
happened.
You found a better looking Magida.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
So when do you go out?
Wife for being in labor today or tomorrow. So
yeah, I meant to text him. I didn't. I'll text him later. Yeah, you excited?
I think it should be good. I don't know the format if it's going to be more sideline reporting because they mentioned that he's still going to do some of the voiceover for post race. He's just going to uninstall social media, so don't text him and be like, "Did you see that so and so won?" Like he wants to keep it a surprise, just so it's a raw reaction when he's doing the coverage and stuff. But I know I'm going to be on the gator, following them around course, maybe doing some rabbiting as well. So it should be fun.
Nice.
You're in the big leagues now.
The big leagues, yeah. Yeah. I think there's going to be a preview show element that they're also going to do. So me and Steve kind of making predictions and stuff.
It'll be Steve and I if you're on air. You're going to want to get your
That's true.
All the syntax and everything correct.
I agree with that. We have to use proper grammar on there, or else I won't get a second opportunity.
Are you just going to play this video as the preview?
Just hour 57, little warm up before the video. Just do that.
People will listen.
All right. So you have the insider information now. Is there going to be any live component?
I honestly don't know about that. I don't know what hotel I'm staying at, and my flight got approved at the end of last week. So this is like all last minute stuff.
So are you tier 3.5 now? Getting a flight approved?
I'm not tier anything.
That's like 1.5. That's pretty good. You're way up there.
Tier 1.5?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, one flight to California.
Flight? Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Well, this is I hope that I can add some cool insight and stuff. So
tier 2B.
Are you going to write notes or are you just going to have it all in the Bauer brain? It's all.
I was actually considering one of my friends. She has what's a laminating machine. So I was considering having the playbook or something like that. Just write some little cheat notes and stuff, just so I
put on the wristband.
Yeah. Just the quarterback. Let's get the playbook.
Yeah, the menu that the coaches have. Bracken, what's your number one piece of advice to someone who's going on air for Spartan?
I would say make a statement with your wardrobe.
Number one.
Yeah, take a risk.
Yeah. I have a Big Bird Halloween costume. Would that be a good one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Nah, man. Be yourself. You know what you bring to the table. Don't try to be anyone but you.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not going to pretend to be Kevin Donahue screaming at the mic the whole time. Like, he's got all that energy and stuff, but I've done enough podcasts. I'm just going to kind of rely on what I do.
Yeah, you have insight, right? Donahue has energy.
Yeah.
Piped in energy. You have insight, which is
I think ideally I would love to have a co-host. And like I said, I might be on the air for 30 seconds total, just helping out with little things. I don't know the full format yet, but it would be cool doing race coverage, kind of like Bracken did for Savage, where I'd fill in the info, the other person paints the picture of like what's going on right there, like Bracken typically does. That would be my ideal scenario, but I don't know if that's going to end up being the format.
Put in a good word for Bracken to Spartan.
Oh, I think everybody in the industry knows that Bracken deserves that spot. So
there's no such thing as deserve in this world. Jack
has earned with his proven crappy recording announcing time and time again that he deserves the opportunity for some real recording.
Here's the best piece of advice I got. Not I'm saying that you need it, but the best I got is that when you are tossed something, if you have to take a breath, you're done. The first time you pause is the end of your talk. And that really helped me when I was doing some NBC and some other stuff, which is like, we just talk and talk and talk here. I talk over everyone. I talk. But when you're on mic, that equals my sentence is done.
Yeah. You hear that all the time.
Leave them want more rather than get to the end. It's a half pause. And now someone's going to go, and I'm not sure if I should. And then I get redundant. One breath and you're done.
You hear that with like sideline reporting on Monday Night Football or something. They'll send it down to Michelle Tafoya, and she's just like spitting out words for 15 seconds back to you. Like there's no secondary like adding on to it unless you know that person's in your ear telling you we need a little bit more.
Yeah, you want when they get done for people to say, I'd like to hear more from that Jack guy. Yeah.
That's going to be good because you're going to know who all these athletes are and like have the background on them just like ready to deliver, which is something that
has been lacking.
We don't normally get.
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy who's just like, and they're running really fast and so-and-so's in second because I can literally see. I want to like actually add some material on there that gives you a little perspective.
No one needs to hear that they look smooth right now.
Yeah.
Or they look comfortable.
Yeah.
We all see that.
Yeah. And half the time it's just like a guess. Like it looks like they're working.
Yeah. Like, it's like, do you really know?
Yeah.
I think kind of what I want to do, if I'm not on the mic for part of it, just like run with them for a 30-second downhill. Be like, wow, she's going 5:10 pace. Like now I can talk about that during the show. Just give some perspective on how fast they're actually going.
I'd imagine things happen like pretty fast.
Yeah, I really have no idea how it's going to go like behind the scenes. You see how the final product looks, but I don't know like the working parts behind that. I might, not have any say over what happens, and I'm just kind of filling it in as it goes.
Question for you.
Yeah.
At what distance or distances could you beat Emma Cook-Clark in a race right now?
Good question.
Right now?
What's the longest distance you could beat her in a race at? Because I assume you think you could take her in a 50 or 100 or a 400, maybe an 800. What's the longest? Like, where would your equal meeting ground be?
As me as the cameraman or head-to-head racing? We're both starting.
No. Head-to-head, full warm-up.
Split shorts.
Pure running? I'd say probably like 4K. About
4K?
Yeah.
Okay.
3K to 4K.
What do you think she can run a 5K in? You think she's
probably like mid-17s right now.
What are you?
Where are you at?
I think right about now I'm there. I had a really rough showing the other day with Rich and Ryan when we were at the mini incline and stuff, but I'm better.
You're mid-17s and she's mid-17s.
That's true.
You're saying that 4K is the longest you can go because she'll outkick you in a 5K.
You're just trying to back me in a corner and use me as your punching bag right now.
You heard me say punching bag on the last episode.
I had to fit it in. I do my research, Bracken. Yeah.
That makes one of us.
No,
but I'm so you think you could go a 5K with her right now?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I'd find a way. Like,
I think so.
Lindsay, could you beat her up the incline?
I helped Rhea set the record for the women. She was like 23:50 or so. And I lasted until, the fall summit, like it starts leveling off before going up again. I lasted 18 or 19 minutes pacing Rhea. And then I was like, I can't. And I set my PR that day as well. But that was a few years ago.
Rhea has the record?
No. She wanted the Strava one. And then Allie McLaughlin is like, 21 flat or something like that. She's a world-class mountain runner.
Yeah.
But,
well, you're a world-class OCR statistician. Statistician.
Soon to be announcer.
I've got huge competition on that one. Just like you have a world-class shoe wall behind you. Like some stores might have that. You have it at your house. So that's world-class right there.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I'm sure
All
it
right,
does.
boys. I think we did it. Anything else we got to add on to this thing?
Let's see how wrong we're gonna be. This is gonna be crazy.
Watch
be
party,
fun.
you and I, Rich.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how we're gonna catch it live, right?
No, they have on Spartan's
Their
page.
website.
Like you literally go on Spartan.com. You don't even have to be on the SoCal or the Arizona or something. But for those
Is it
two
giving
races,
you updates?
literally on it says live timing, and then you click there, so it should be up to date.
I may have just missed it when I tried to check out like the Arizona and Jacksonville race. I may have just
Day
been too
one,
late.
they weren't ready. It wasn't working.
Yeah,
Day
I'm
two
not
was
sure if
up.
you're gonna have to do F5 over and over again, or if it auto refreshes. But
Got it.
Yeah.
I have a wedding on Saturday, so no live streaming for me. But maybe
it's a
next time.
Sunday.
Oh,
And
And
he's definitely not going to be live streaming.
Yeah.
I'll just be like face down.
Yeah. Everybody listening, if you are running this race, daylight savings time is Saturday rolling into Sunday. So you're going to lose an hour of sleep. But the race for the men starts at 9 a.m. Pacific
If
time.
it were a 7 a.m. race, we would have someone in trouble.
Yep.
At least one.
That happened to me with the Savage race in Texas once. I did it and I was like, oh crap, is it like actually this time or this time? And I just trusted my clock or my cell phone to auto update, and obviously it did. But if you're relying on like a manual alarm clock, not your phone, you might be in some trouble.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll check it. We'll make sure to watch on the Spartan site, and then we'll see you on the sidelines, dude.
Sounds
Exciting
good.
stuff.
Gentlemen.
All right. Good draft.
All right, boys. Excellent work.
See ya.